God! By golly!
Oh,
She whiz!
Shelby.
She's out. She did not take that well, folks. Well, shoot. Did Shelby say anything last round? We can deduce.
I don't think she said a word.
Shelby didn't say a word.
She didn't open her mouth once.
No, she did go after Katie once.
Interesting.
What did she say?
Did she? What'd she say?
She said, Katie may be nice, but it might be a bigger scheme.
I don't remember her saying that.
George, are you falsifying information?
Are you just...
I have not falsified information.
I'd like to make a formal!
Formal! All right, we've got a formal on the table.
It's a formal Mr. Judgmental George.
She whiz! We've got a formal on the table. All discussion must cease. Do we have a second? Going once. Going twice. We've got a second from Bella.
I'm
all
scared,
right,
but I'll do it.
If you would like to start with your accusation.
Yes, I don't know. I think we need to keep the game rolling a little bit. I think the villagers need to start pointing people out that we think may be a little suspicious. So we gotta be a little bit more aggressive, in my opinion. And Mr. Judgmental George, well, he was fumbling over his words a little bit, kind of making some accusations about Shelby that we weren't really sure anyone else agreed with. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and see if I'm right, and if I am, great, and if not, then I'm so golly sorry. And that's all I have to say.
All right, and Miss Bella, your second.
To be perfectly honest, I do not feel 110% in this second. However, I do agree with Sophie that we as villagers something needs to happen here for the good of the village, and I unfortunately am willing to take a risk on George. I'm so sorry though. Me
too, George.
I really am. I feel bad, but
I think it's worth a shot.
I think it must happen.
And your defense?
Alrighty, well let's just consider this. If you do vote, then you do vote to get me out. And if I'm a villager, the Mafia will have gotten 2 villagers out in 2 successive turns. And they would already be at a great advantage for the rest of the game. Make the right choice, fellow villagers. Thank you.
All right, and now we are going to go in our voting period. We have 8 playing, 7 voting, 4 to get majority. Vote on the word vote. No early or late votes will be counted. 3, 2, 1, vote. That is 3. That is not enough. With that, we will continue the deliberation period.
I would just like to say I think that was a very baseless accusation against George. I think that the case that Sophie made was very, very hasty. I think Bella hopped on later. I'm not sure why. But I would like to point out that these 3 are the ones that voted. And I think it was not, I don't really believe anything that was said about George. I think it was very baseless.
So now's a better time than ever to tell you that I am in fact the doctor. And if you don't believe me,
likely story.
If you don't believe me, then that's your fault, and you're going to pay for it
1
later
minute left
on.
of daybreak.
Katie,
what do you have to say for yourself?
Guarantee you don't want to kill me on this one.
I never said I was.
No, she said
Well,
you were the doctor.
Katie said you were the doctor, but what do you have to say about that accusation, and what do you have to say about your vote for George?
So my vote for George is that I felt that for Shelby, a lot of people attacked me last round. They did. Shelby, I did not believe was one of those people. I felt some attacks and some personalities coming at me. Shelby, not one of those. I don't believe that Shelby said those words. So I thought that was a lie, and if he lies about being a villager, maybe he lies about being Mafia.
I think that makes sense. I personally have suspicions. Miss Mackenzie. Mackenzie's typically louder than she's been during this round. I think it would make sense that she would vote out Shelby since Shelby's right next to her.
What do you have to say, Sparkles?
I don't see why proximity would matter about who I would vote out.
It's easier to point.
Anyone in this circle
I'm
would
gonna
like me to do
formal Mackenzie.
All right, we've got a formal accusation on Mackenzie. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a second
George,
right here by George.
You've got to be kidding me now. You've got to be absolutely kidding me now.
All right.
Goodness.
Let's start with your.
I've already kind of presented what I think. I would really like to hear what Mackenzie has to say because I know she's a skilled player, but I currently think she's acting a little bit suspicious.
George?
To add to this, I heard something last nightfall. From this region.
Is that all you have to say? Alright, listen to me. First of all, Sam, thank you for the compliment that I'm a skilled player. I appreciate it. Yes, Sam is right that usually as a villager I am much more vocal. I did even say in my confessional, I usually am more vocal, but I've taken the back seat and I'm going to listen and observe. What I listened and observed was some sketchy behaviour over here. I did happen to defend George, and then George just pulled out a wild claim about hearing a noise. Why didn't he say that earlier? He's just, and now I would like to retract my defence of George. And if I stay in, I would like to accuse George, and I will second your vote.
I agree with that, buddy boy.
All right, and with that, we are going to go into our voting period. Same numbers. You need 4 to vote out. Ready? 3, 2, 1, vote. That is only 2 votes. That is not enough. And with that, we are going to go into Nightfall. Mafia, wake up. Who would you like to kill? All right, Mafia, thank you. Doctor, wake up. Who would you like to save? Think about the last round.
Easy. So easy. The last round, I really think that I did an incredible job. I also think that Mackenzie deserves to leave. Just didn't know how to, close her little talker, and I just think that she would have tried to upend our whole operation.
What do you think of the George Mackenzie situation?
What I think of the George Mackenzie situation is I have no idea what to believe. I'm thinking right now that George might be the Mafia, but it also could be Kenzie, and I gotta stay safe and true to myself.
But George Mackenzie, well, if you can tell by my perspiration, I'm nervous as can be. I don't know which side to pick.
I think George is a snake. It's really disheartening to be betrayed by your fellow villager, or maybe not villager. I really went out on a limb and I defended a friend, and he backstabbed me with a baseless claim, and I hope that he has to pay for it.
Mackenzie's Mafia, I know it. But after the start of the last round, when I was accused, I lost focus. And when I went to second, I had a blank. Everyone does. We are humans. We're not perfect. But it may cost me my life.
I think George made up something that Shelby said about me. So, I don't like him.
What do you think about what happened last round?
I think George doesn't make sense. George is just not acting normal. It's kind of weird, but I still do suspect Kenzie.
What do you think about the last round?
Last round I talked about how Sophie was gonna be bold and make big claims, and that's exactly what she did. That baseless formal accusation on, I think it was Katie. Was it Katie?
George.
Who did Sophie?
George.
Yeah, it's exactly what I expected from her. Just shaky evidence, yet she just wants to do something bold and flashy. It was really poor playing.
Why did you decide to kill?
That's a good question. I actually didn't decide to kill Mackenzie. I think Bella is kind of calling the shots with who the Mafia eliminates.
Would you say there's tension between the two Mafia?
I think there's a little bit of tension between Bella and me, the two Mafia. Well, I gotta do what's in the best interest of the tribe, but if that involves voting Bella out, then so be it.
Do you think you're safe tonight?
Do I think I'm safe tonight? Is a seal slimy?
I truly don't think I'm safe tonight.
I will not be surviving.
Undoubtedly.
After both surviving formals, will George and Mackenzie make it through the night? Will the tension between the two Mafia lead to one of their untimely demise? Did Sophie the doctor save the right person? Find out all this and more on next week's episode of Mafia the Reality Show.